name's Nicole, and for the next 4 weeks, I'm gonna be cleaning up my act, trying to get my nutrition in order and just help my body feel a little better while I'm dealing with perimenopause. But first, we have to stop at Dunkin'. Typically, I break my fast around 11 a.m., but on this day, I had a doctor's appointment and a few other errands, and I didn't want to leave the house on an empty stomach. So I had some Greek yogurt, blueberries, raspberries, and about 1 ounce of my homemade high-fat granola. This is always so good, and it keeps me satiated for hours. And it looks pretty nice as well. Then it was time to get dressed, but on the way, I got myself a little treat. I have a mobile order.
What's the name?
No sprinkles, Nicole. Thank you, honey. Have a great day. So how I manage a trip to Dunkin'. Usually once a week I'll go with my daughter and I actually will have one donut, but today's not that day. This morning I have a doctor's appointment that has me a little nervous, so I decided to get myself an iced coffee. I get the original Dunkin' iced, and then I use heavy cream because it doesn't have any added sugars. And then where my coffee usually has 3 pumps of syrup, I do 2 pumps of an unsweetened like hazelnut, and then 1 pump of something sweetened, either vanilla or caramel, whatever they have. And that way I have just the smallest amount of sugar in it, but it still has plenty of flavor and it's delicious, and it's my little treat for going to the doctor. So in retrospect, I can look back and see that my perimenopause started about 5 years ago when I was 41 years old. Even a few years before then, I was having definite mood swings, and I would find myself crying over dog food commercials and just silly things like that. But really, when I was 41, that was the first time that my periods became irregular and I started to gain an unusual amount of weight. My weight has always been relatively stable. I honestly have been a little bit on the side of underweight most of my adult life. Of course, I fluctuated. I had babies and I would gain and then I would lose, and life happens, but I always managed to maintain a relatively healthy weight without much effort. And then in my 40s, I suddenly found myself where I gained about 50 pounds in a year, and it was really, really stressful. And around that same time, I became pre-diabetic. I had non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. My triglycerides went up. Like, all the red flags started happening. And given my family history, my mom passed away at the age of 55 after a 7-year battle with colon cancer and diabetes. And I have always really tried to take good care of myself because I was afraid of that fate, but it seemed like my efforts weren't working. So yeah. And for the next few years, of course, COVID hit and the world as we knew it changed, and my life went through a lot of changes too. The more time that passes, the more I'm realizing even those life changes are pretty common with people who are going through perimenopause. My marriage ended. Things had gotten really, really unhealthy towards the end, and it really took it out of me to walk away from the life that I'd been building for a very, very long time. And my life became very uncertain, and my health only felt it even more. So for the last 2 years, I have spent every day trying to figure out how to take care of this changing body of mine. I've learned a lot about nutrition and diet and exercise, and also my personal needs that may not apply to everyone else. And that's okay, because we're all a little different, and especially in perimenopause, man, it's different for all of us. But I'm learning a lot, and I do feel so much better than I did 2 years ago or even a year ago. A few years back, I didn't know if I was even going to survive through my 40s and into my 50s, and I feel a lot better now. I feel like I'm coming back to life now, and I feel stable and steady enough that I can actually learn and maybe share what I'm learning as well. So that brings us to where we're at now. Unfortunately, my triglycerides have gone back up. I made some dietary changes in the last 6 months. Specifically, I started the Galveston diet, which in another video coming next week, I will go more into detail on my reviews on the Galveston diet, both the good, bad, the in-between. But as I increased my fat intake and reduced my carbohydrates, I had some unexpected and not great outcomes, such as my triglycerides. So I'm gonna make some modifications. Like I said before, nothing is cookie cutter. There's no one diet or meal plan that's going to work for everyone. And luckily, I feel informed enough and educated enough on nutrition and my own body and my own needs that I can make modifications to something like the Galveston diet to make it manageable and workable and hopefully to yield better results. So for the next 4 weeks, I will be a bit more strict in my diet, and I'm really going to be focused on whole food nutrition, lots of healthy fats, a good amount of fiber and healthy carbs, moderate amount of protein, and just see what happens. I weighed in this morning, and I'll include that right here. I'm still about 20 pounds over a healthy weight for my body and where I feel comfortable. And while I don't want to starve myself or even overly restrict myself to achieve that weight loss goal, it would be nice. Anywho, I have to get into my doctor's appointment. I will talk to you after. That was actually a really great doctor's visit. It was productive and positive, and I walked out of there feeling better than when I walked in. That's huge in my book. A few months ago, I took a bit of a nasty fall and I messed up my knees a bit, and moving forward, the doctor actually suggested a couple of supplements for my joint pain and joint health, which was amazing. I would much rather have supplements than pharmaceuticals. I will actually leave a screenshot somewhere in here of what he suggested, and it aligns very well with what Dr. Haver and the Galveston diet suggests as well. So I will be picking up some new supplements. I actually already take the magnesium, and I do include turmeric in my diet, but I don't actually take a supplement for it. So I'll be adding that, as well as the other one, which I can't remember what it was. It's there. So I had to make a quick stop at Walmart, pick up some groceries, a few odds and ends to get ready for this week, and yeah, let's see what I find. It's very well with the Galveston diet and what Dr. Haver suggests. So I picked up some turmeric. I also picked up some glucosamine sulfate potassium chloride. And he also suggested magnesium, which I have been supplementing with for quite a while already. And this is my mini grocery haul for the day. If you've seen my videos before, you're probably noticing that there's a lot of similarities in my grocery hauls. That is because my diet is pretty consistent, but I have made a few changes and added a few things this week. So I picked up some sockeye salmon. I also grabbed some frozen zucchini. I'm not a big fan of zucchini, so I'm trying to incorporate small amounts into my meals. I grabbed a package of hummus as well as some feta cheese. Regarding our produce, we have strawberries, a couple of cucumbers, some celery. I did get some sweet potatoes, as well as a grapefruit, a handful of avocados, and some tomatoes, as well as some baby arugula and baby spinach. And then for my less than whole foods, I picked up these Clio mini Greek yogurt bars. They have 4 grams of protein and 4 grams of sugar, which is well within my dietary goals. And I also grabbed some multi-grain scoops. I was trying to find some almond flour tortillas to make into chips, but they were out of stock in my store, so this will work with the meal that I have planned. And I also grabbed some avocado oil mayo. I love the ingredients on that, as well as some basil to top my salmon with. And I grabbed these Seeds of Change organic 7 whole grains. These are really, really yummy. I make a tofu fried rice with these. And of course, my favorite, some Kalamata olives. And I almost forgot, I did pick up 2 red bell peppers, well, a red and an orange bell pepper. And obviously this is not everything that I'll be eating this week. This is just a small fraction of it. This is nowhere near enough calories to sustain me, or enough protein or fat. But this was just a small restock. I will include a couple of lists of the foods that I generally eat. I've actually got 3 food lists to share with you today. The first one is my fats and my proteins. I tend to eat a lot of things like tofu and olives, nut butters. I do include some seafood like salmon and tuna, but I am pescatarian, so no meat. I also enjoy some dairy products like Greek yogurt and feta, and a selection of oils. For my whole food, vegetables, fruits, and yes, carbohydrates, I do eat a lot of green peppers, tomatoes, celery, carrots, as well as artichokes and some fruits. I include sweet potatoes, corn, bean pasta, brown rice, as well as some other whole grains in my diet, even though that's not technically Galveston diet friendly. This is my version of a high-fat, lower-carb diet. And finally, I do include some convenience and snack foods such as Triscuits, hummus, some almond flour tortillas, maybe even occasionally a whole grain tortilla chip. And while it's great to have a list of healthy foods I want to eat, if I actually want to get them into my tummy, the key is to have the food prepared. When I get home, I wash my berries and my fruits. I have my vegetables cleaned and prepared. This week, I'll be making myself some salad jars so that when lunchtime rolls around, the chopping is already done. The cheese and the protein is already added to the salad, and all I have to do is grab a bowl, toss in some greens, maybe a protein source, and my little jar of salad, and I'm ready to go. I have been using a lot of apple cider vinegar and hemp seed oil for my dressing, but you can use whatever tastes good to you. Here, have a closer look. This is exactly what will be going into our salad jars. We've got our orange bell pepper, 1 large cucumber, we've got some of these pickled red onions, and of course our sugar bomb tomatoes. I've got 4 ounces of feta cheese that I'm going to break up over 4 jars. And I'm going to add about a 1/4 cup of black beans to each jar just for some extra protein and fiber. I have some Kalamata olives, and I had a handful of these green olives left, so I threw those in as well, and pumpkin seeds. This will not include my dressing. I may add some seasoning, but not salt, and I will probably leave the greens out because I can always throw those in as I'm preparing the salad. And this is how they look, all pretty and organized, and this is how quickly I make my lunch. As I said, a little bit of apple cider vinegar and some hemp seed oil on top, a crab cake on the side, and this was so yummy. As I was editing this video this morning, I thought I should put a little disclaimer, which sounds very dramatic, but the next meal that we're about to have is going to be my spinach and artichoke dip. It is absolutely delicious. It's equal parts Greek yogurt and spinach, a can of artichokes, a little bit of goat cheese, and so good, so good. But I'm gonna be serving it tonight with some multi-grain tortilla chips. This is absolutely not Galveston diet friendly, but that's okay with me. My meals are going to be mostly Galveston diet friendly. They're going to lean towards high fat, lower carb, especially lower sugar, but I feel more comfortable and I feel as though things would be much more sustainable if I allow myself some basic comforts and basic convenience foods. So while I was planning on getting some almond flour tortillas and toasting them up into chips, I couldn't find any, and that just happens sometimes. So I bought the Tostitos, and anywho, moving on, here's our meal. And to make my spinach and artichoke dip, I take equal parts of Greek yogurt and baby spinach and arugula for a peppery taste. I mix in a small jar of artichokes, bake it with goat cheese on top for about 30 minutes, and it comes out perfect every single time. And yeah, the handful of chips made things even better. Thanks so much for watching. Like and subscribe for more perimenopausal shenanigans.